President Woodrow Wilson's 14 points were his vision for not only a safe and secure world, but especially a safe and secure Europe. These 14 points were intended to shape the post-World War I era.
Our research question is,
how did Wilson's 14 points, along with the Treaty of Versailles, shape the European world after World War I?
Our thesis is, Wilson's 14 points laid the framework for territory redistribution in the Treaty of Versailles, which gave post-World War I Germany a moral right to regain this lost territory in the late 1930s. While many historians argue that Wilson was an idealist and ahead of his time with regard to things like the League of Nations, realist thinkers believe that he was an impractical dreamer. We tend to side with the realist thinkers with regard to this.
we will now cover Wilson's 40 points.
In Wilson's first point, he suggests the elimination of secret alliances. However, this is very difficult to control because it is almost impossible to police the formation of secret alliances.
Point 2, policies in peace and war. Again, this is difficult to control, and an island nation like Britain relies on their navy to defend against potential threats.
Point 3 called for the removal of trade and economic boundaries between countries, along with equal trade conditions.
Point 4 was to reduce armaments. This is actually one of Woodrow Wilson's best ideas, yet some nations may not want to reduce armaments. The strong militarism of the age, coupled with the close boundaries and fear of encirclement, many reasons for the outbreak of World War I, caused nations to feel the need for military protection.
Point 5 called for the readjustment of colonies and coordination between colonized population and colonizers. However, the main point of colonization is essentially for the colonizers to dominate the colonized population. These colonizers could essentially just refute all the colonized people's claims.
The next point, point 6, allows Russia self-determination and has other nations support her development. This shows Wilson's idealism. This is ironic in American history because capitalism does not support communism. The Korean War and Vietnam War are all results of trying to prevent the spread of communism.
Point 7 is restore Belgian land. This was a better idea and necessary because Belgians fought
Valiantly!
at the start of the war. However, this should be done by all nations involved in the war.
Point 8 was to have France evacuated and its land restored. And along with this, Wilson suggested that Germany settle the Alsace-Lorraine problem that had existed between Germany and France for many years. It's smart to restore the destroyed land of France. However, the diction of Wilson seems to blame the Alsace-Lorraine problem almost entirely on Germany. This is a mutual problem.
The 9th point is that Italian borders should be readjusted along clearly recognizable lines of nationality. This is almost impossible to determine clearly recognizable lines.
Point 10 is that many diverse groups of people in Austria-Hungary should be given right to self-determine. This is a better idea. It ends Austria-Hungary's reign as a great power and forms modern Hungary and Austria.
Point 11 states that Romania, Serbia, and Montenegro should be evacuated and restored, and Serbia given free access to the sea. Also, Balkan states should be considered as equal European states. Austria-Hungarian royalty are probably feeling more hostility after this point. Their nation is made smaller, but now they have to consider Serbia and other Balkan nations who killed their Archduke as equal European states.
The 12th point states that Turkish portions of the Ottoman Empire should be granted sovereignty, while other nationalities under Turkish control should be given security and opportunity for autonomous development.
Point 13 is Poland is given independence. This reduces German territory.
Point 14 called for a League of Nations established for great and small states alike. However, this is ironic because Wilson ultimately did not get the U.S. to agree. While it is ideal, this organization may not be able to solve all the disagreements between nations that encapsulate the world.
Article 231 of the Versailles Treaty placed entire blame of the war on Germany, while many other nations were responsible for the outbreak of the war.
Along with placing full blame on Germany, Germany was also demilitarized and, demobilized and forced to reduce armaments. This created a bitter Germany, which created this sort of perfect storm for when Hitler was to come into power in the 1930s. Article 45 and 49 took away the Saar Basin from Germany. Article 51 took away Alsace-Lorraine. Article 42 prevented Germany from building any fortifications on the left bank of the Rhine. Hitler later did this in the late 1930s, which caused many problems. Article 89 recognized an independent Poland, which took away a large amount of German territory. Article 159 forced Germany to demobilize and reduce armaments, and Article 80 and 81 created a weak Austrian state. This new territory correlates with Wilson's 12th point about Poland and his 8th point about Alsace-Lorraine. These new territories gave Germany the moral right to want to regain their territory in the late 1930s. They felt that they had been almost betrayed by their European brothers, and Hitler felt that that these were true German lands and that they needed to regain them. Wilson's 14 points laid the foundations that would cause Hitler to later use this newly distributed European territory in order to create a moral right for Germany to regain lost territory in the 1930s.